So they say that the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results every time. Well, if we really want to change Canada for the better, we need to do something really different this time. And let's make history by establishing the first team of Green MPs in Canada by electing Donald Galloway in Victoria to Parliament.
We are a country dependent on fisheries, on tourism, and on winter sports. So to say that the economy is our concern and ignore climate change, it seems to me, is absolutely irresponsible. And I'm wondering, I think that it's criminal. There should be intergenerational There should be legal means to hold our leaders accountable for intergenerational crime. We know now what we are doing is going to reverberate more and more intensely through the lives of our children and grandchildren. This is criminal negligence on the part of our elected representatives. And I believe there is a category that should be applied. It's called willful blindness. You can put people in jail if there are areas they should know about, but they deliberately ignore them as they go about their activities. Willful blindness is what's going on in Ottawa now, and I think that if there are any lawyers in the room, for heaven's sakes, you ought to look into that as something to hold people accountable for what they are doing. Greens inform us that ecos is the Greek word meaning household or domain. The economy is the management of our household or our domain. Our domain is the biosphere. Ecology is the study of our domain or our household. Ecologists try to determine what are the conditions of sustainability for any species. So economics and ecology should be companion disciplines, with economists saying to the ecologist, tell us what the conditions are, and then we'll design an economy that will fit within it. So let's put the eco back into economics and get it back under control. So that's just some context. I hope to provide you with why you're here and what the job is now. The job is to go out and start raising these issues and seeing which candidates for office are actually going to confront the kinds of issues that the Greens understand to their very DNA and their core. So again, thank you, Don. Thank you, Donald, for offering yourself for this very, very tough challenge. The people are here today, I think, to say they appreciate it, and they're going to be all out there beating the doors for you, as I will be for Andrew Weaver when he runs for office next year. Thank you very much.
Are we really going to live in a world where our rights to privacy against internet surveillance are going to be cut right back? No, I say that's not the world that we're going to live in. Are we going to live in a world where our environmental laws are being gutted? No, that's not my world too. Listen, I came to Canada in 1975. I had spent some time in North America before that, first as an exchange student during the height of the anti-war campaigns. I came back as a graduate student. I knew my life was going to be in North America. I came to Canada. I came to Canada because I found its culture, I found its politics, I found its people to be warm, friendly, and communitarian-oriented. That's the life that I chose. I could have chosen to go elsewhere, but I chose this society. This society has now disappeared, and I am ready to fight for it back. On Canada Day a few years ago, Stephen Harper described Canada as a warrior nation. The nation I joined was not a warrior nation. It was a peacekeeping and peacemaking nation. Harper's Canada is okay with torture, as long as it happens under extraordinary rendition in countries that we have never heard of, far away. We now take and use information gained from brutalizing people. That's not the Canada that I chose to join. I want us to denounce torture and stand firm on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I want my country back. I want us to restore our traditions of diplomacy, peacekeeping, and peacemaking. I want my country back. I want to know that the most desperate and marginalized people on this planet will have a fair hearing when they make it to our shores. I want to ensure they will be offered necessary health care when they get here. I want my country back. I want to know that we will join the responsible nations on the planet and move to a low-carbon economy. I want to know my daughter's future will not be threatened by climate change. I want my country back. I want the government to respond to the Committee on the Rights of the Child, which noted that the provision of welfare services to Aboriginal children, to African Canadian children, and children of other minorities is not comparable in quality and accessibility to services provided to other children in Canada and is not adequate to meet their needs. I want my country back. We know what one MP can do in Canada. Elizabeth has given us hope. Two of us can double that hope. We can inspire more Canadians to join us. We will all say with one voice, we want our country back. If you wake up on the 27th of November with a Green MP, I put it to you, you will feel both joy and hope. I think the world will be a better place. Thank you.
We have an amazing team with one MP's budget. We first of all, read and analyzed the omnibus budget bill before any of the other parties had looked at it, Bill C-38 last spring. We put forward 330 amendments to try to block that bill, to force changes. It's such a contempt for democracy that a bill of 425 pages changing 70 laws would ever have been tabled at all. But it's really an affront to democracy when that bill goes to first reading on April 26 and emerges in June with royal assent without a single amendment being accepted, without a single change to the destruction of the Environmental Assessment Act, the destruction of the Fisheries Act habitat provisions, the destruction of changing the National Energy Board so it's merely advisory to Cabinet so Cabinet can overturn it. 70 different, eliminating the National Roundtable, 70 different laws amended, gutted, and repealed, and not a single change. And then, again, with my small resources, we were the only ones who initially noticed that the Canada-China Investment Treaty had been tabled, because it was tabled quietly. Now, so I'm giving the message here that I want to share is, yes, being one Green MP has allowed me to do so much more than any other individual MP is capable of doing. But you know, it's not because I'm special or any, there are a lot of very bright and wonderful people in all the other parties. Really, there are. Their problem is that they have to work within the constraints of this partisanship, this hyper-partisanship that says that we're not electing MPs to make wise decisions or seek out good public policy based on sound evidence. We're electing a bunch of people who really care about their communities, who think they're public-spirited, who want to become members of Parliament to do good work in public policy, and find themselves, once elected, to be meaningless cogs in a political machine that's run by a bunch of backroom boys who are only thinking about the next election and care nothing about public policy in the moment. And so it's not with anger or hatred that I approach my colleagues in Parliament. I approach them all with compassion and love because more than anything else, I want to liberate them from the structures and chains which bind them to reading out idiotic statements on cards that have been prepared for them. They must be liberated. And if to unchain democracy and prove that it works, I can't do it by myself. Because every time I say in Parliament, well, it is, it's quite fun, but the joke is getting old, on behalf of myself and my entire caucus. I'm 100, the only caucus in Parliament that's 100% female. Right. I yearn for gender parity. I yearn for a large, undisciplined, unruly caucus because when I say to the media, we will never have a party whip in the Green Party, I read the bills, I decide what's in the interest of the voters of Saanich-Gulf Islands, I work for them. They are the people who put their trust in me, and I will not miss a vote. I will not miss a day in Parliament except to go to the horrible climate negotiations next week in Doha. I work for the people of Saanich-Gulf Islands, and I will fight pipelines, and I will stop supertankers on our coastlines and end fracking and protect First Nations rights. And by God, if there's any way in this world to make Stephen Harper resign, leave, or get fired before 2015, I'm going to find it.